All right. So once again, welcome everybody. My name is Megan, CEO and founder of SwiftPaws, and this is actually the second live customer chat that we have done. So bear with me. This is a little bit new to me and also to all of you. What we're doing is we're inviting new customers or people that have sort of like joined our community or ended up on our email list in the previous month. So it's really an exclusive group of just new people to hopefully the SwiftPaws world. And this is just a way that I'm hoping to be able to personally connect with our customers, also answer questions. And I really want this to be open format. I want to let you guys know that you're welcome to drop questions as I'm chatting. If something pops into your head or you have a question, you're welcome to drop your questions in the chat, and then I will do my best to go through them. We also had a few questions submitted prior. And if you guys also want to ask a question live, you're welcome to do that too. Before we dive into Q&A, I thought I'd take a moment and just maybe give you a couple of brief things about SwiftPaws in general, where we are today and where we're heading. So I am currently sitting in our little office. What you see is about as big as it is. It is a part of a nonprofit startup incubator and co-working space here in Melbourne, Florida called Groundswell Startups. So we have this little office here and I love it so much because it gives me a great space to work. It's about a mile away from our warehouse, which is where we do all of our assembly and fulfillment, both on the home series side and the pro side. And we have been here as a part of the Groundswell community since 2016. And this is my 13th year with SwiftPaws overall. And I love to see our community grow over time. So where we have been is really got our start making professional grade equipment. And then eventually we came out with our very first version for backyard use. And sometimes we have some pro grade customers that jump on these calls as well, which is really cool to see. And where we're heading, and you might see it behind me here, this concept of playing well with your pets. Although we got our start and are really focused on lure coursing and lure coursing equipment and manufacturing that safely, durably, as affordably as we can, we also are starting to turn our sights to the larger space of enrichment. You might see Gateway to Enrichment on the poster behind me, some other amazing brands and also authors that are in this space and talking about enrichment. And for me, really, it's over the years I've come to realize that as much as I love exactly what we're making and lure coursing, it is just one part of this larger enrichment space. And I think that pet owners are starting to want more. They're wanting more for their pets. They want more ways to stimulate their brains and bodies. And they really just want better ways to play with them and to play well with their pets and offer them those healthy outlets for behaviors that could otherwise be a little bit destructive, like chasing, chewing, digging, things like that. Where we're heading then is into a place where SwiftPaws wants to be a brand that offers enrichment solutions, really every space, every pet, every playtime. And that means at every age and stage of pets' lives. So with that, some of our newer stuff that you might see around is the Pawsler puzzles. That's the European puzzle toy brand that we brought into the United States last year. We absolutely love these reconfigurable puzzles. We also partner with other brands like Soda Pup that makes these really cool enrichment bowl feeders and others to bring our customer base as many new and innovative products that we really can find. We also launched some of our own too. So this year, we're really excited to be working on really two big things. The first is an indoor version made specifically for cats. And the second is actually a premium pack membership. Not fully fleshed out yet, but more on both of those things, hopefully in the next coming month. So I will turn the floor over. If anybody has a pressing question, I would love to hear it. You can either write it in the chat or come off mute. And otherwise, I will be happy just to go through some of the questions that we had submitted as well. So I think you might actually be on the call. Howard, if you submitted some of these questions, yeah, hey there, good to see you. If you submitted some of these questions, I think it might have been you. The first one was actually how far away to really position the course from obstacles, and I think that's a great question because oftentimes we have customers just getting started and you're looking at the space that you have and figuring out how you fit SwiftPaws in that space. And the answer is really how hard your dog is running and how fast they're going. So for example, if I was running in a very small space, like perhaps even inside of this office, or if I was out in a very small backyard, I would be able to run it pretty close near like the fence, or if I had like a small backyard and then I had maybe a little terrace over here with like some chairs, or maybe I had some trees over there. If you're in a really confined space, you actually don't need to give as much margin between the course itself and anything else. And that's because if your dog isn't going at full speed, they don't need as much grace room to make their turns. Now, every dog, little, big, they're going to get up to speed in a different area. So if I had a really fast dog like a Whippet or a Greyhound, and I had enough space, maybe like, 150 feet long of a space, I would really want to make sure I had at least half that distance after the turn for them to be able to make the turn. So if it's a really fast dog, my rule is half. So if you're going 20 feet, you want another 10 feet for them to make the turn. If you're going 100 feet, you want 50 feet of margin. Now, if your dog isn't that type of like sight hound, very fast dog that really gets up to momentum and needs space to turn, maybe you've got a smaller dog, dogs that are lower to the ground with a lower center of gravity. Herding breeds are much more capable of making those turns and cutting. Then you can really adjust it based on your dog. But that's a really good rule of thumb. It's about half the total straightaway is what you'd like to see for the turn. And then I think I saw, do you have a video? Oh, this is so cool. I will have to check this out. It looks like you've just dropped in a video, and maybe when we're doing a recap of this later, we can post it in part of the recap, but I am watching it right now. So this looks like a dog playing in, it's actually a really decent sized space. I don't know, I would say that's maybe like 30 by 30 wide, and maybe the course is like about 25 by 25, so maybe about 100 feet around. Yeah, and Howard, I think you might be trying to say, I can't hear you just at the moment. I don't know if it's a audio setting. I see that you're not muted, but I can't actually hear you just at the moment. So try to go ahead and figure that setting out, and I will just go ahead and speak up once you think okay, that's about right, 20 by 20. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's a really good size space for chase. And a little bit bigger would be about the max size for chase. And it looks like you've made really good use of your space. And I see that the margin that you've got there, it's about right. You've got about half that distance, and it looks like your dog's having no trouble making those turns. So really nice setup there. And then another question is, so what type of plastic are the bags? Great question. The answer is they're not plastic at all. They're actually made out of maize flour or corn flour. And the reason we do this is in case a dog accidentally ingests some of it, that it's not just going to be plastic heading through their bodies. That's not to say that I think you should feed the flags to your dog. Obviously, corn isn't the best for dogs anyway, as far as a food ingredient goes, but it is better for them than something like plastic. So if they are to ingest it. But when it comes to trying out other stuff, I really encourage people to give other flags a try. You can just use plastic bags, especially if you have a dog that you don't think is a risk of ingesting the plastic. But also, like if they shred it in your yard, it's nice to know that our flags will eventually compost and decompose. But some people have had a lot of luck using like little strips of fabric, even faux fur, or even other natural materials. So we've seen people use like feathers, and we've also seen like feathers from a bird. They might find the feathers or they might purchase the feathers and tie those on, which is really cool. And then additionally, other more natural things. So we've seen people make like sort of a streamer style out of a sisal rope, or sort of like a natural fiber. And that's always really interesting when people come up with creative ways. Oh, awesome. I see we've got in the chat here, you're thinking about going rectangular. Yeah, so when it comes to course shape, I do like a rectangle. It adds a little bit of variety where your dog is naturally, they're so smart. So your dog is naturally going to kind of gauge themselves based on where the lure is and where they are on the course. So if they have a longer side and a shorter side, you get a bit more dynamic play. They'll kind of pace themselves and then they'll go faster and then they'll try to cut off the corner. I do like the variety of that. And if you really have the flexibility of space, changing it up. One day do a rectangle, the next day do a square, maybe change the direction of the rectangle. And with just one additional pulley, or even just altering where your pulleys are on the course, you can even sort of do a zigzag. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So your dog likes, so in the comments here, your dog likes to shred the flags. Yeah, I agree. One of my dogs doesn't ever shred them. My younger dog, once she gets it, she's like holding it with her feet and really shredding it with her teeth. And I still pick up the pieces in the yard because I don't like having to like let them sit there and have to like slowly decompose. But I do worry about her ingesting things, especially when she was a puppy. She would like chew on toys. I was worried about her swallowing pieces. So at least that's not a huge concern with our flags because they are made out of maize flour. And Marla Wilson, thank you so much for writing this question. The batteries stop working frequently. So I would be really interested in knowing which version you have. I would assume perhaps home original. Sounds like 3 batteries in less than a year is really abnormal. So the batteries should last longer. We have got a pretty robust knowledge base that has a bunch of articles on battery care. But ultimately, if you're buying a battery from us and you're having issues with it, that is a part of our 1-year warranty. So I really suggest that you reach out to support, and we can help you through that. And we can also help give you tips on maybe helping to get a little bit more life out of those batteries. The other thing is if you have like home original, for example, and you want a battery that has a longer lifespan, so maybe it's going to run longer per charge. We also, we don't offer them, unfortunately, because we can't buy them in large enough quantities to make it affordable, but there are compatible batteries that you can purchase that have like longer lifespans. And the batteries have been an ongoing, part of the reason why Chase is battery free is because the batteries have been an ongoing pain point where even under perfect care, some will fail. And that's why we always like to cover them under our warranty. But they are picky. So they don't like to be stored too full or too empty or too hot or too cold. So what I'll do here is let me grab now this is just our topics on the home original battery, but you can also search for topics on others as well. This is inside of our knowledge base, this link, and it will give you just a ton of information on batteries, battery care, and the rest of it. So I appreciate you asking that. Oh, and Howard about throttle control. Yeah, especially with Chase, I find that the throttle control can be a little bit sensitive. One thing that you may want to try, and this sounds really counterintuitive, is try it on the slower mode. So inside of your app, right next to where it says Chase, do the drop down arrow and select indoor mode. The weird thing is it's going to run slower, but it's going to give you greater control. If your dog is really fast, and I saw that she seems to be like a husky or some type of snow dog mix, that it might not do you a ton of favors, but you do get a lot more range of control on the indoor mode versus the outdoor mode. So I would at least give it a try. All right. Oh yeah, you have tried it and it's a little bit too slow. So then it's just going to be a matter of really figuring out how to anticipate your dog and then just like doing that action and beat ahead of her for sure. One other thing that I want to point out is too, we offer on our home series, so like Chase Home Original, we offer upgrades if you decide like, look, I just need more power, or my dog's just too fast. We will upgrade you to the next version. So Chase, that would be Home Original, or Home Original, that would be Home Plus. We can upgrade you for just the difference in price on the drive unit, because the pulleys and all the rest of that are the same between the kits. So all you do is you write into support at SwiftPaws and say, hey, I'm interested in upgrading. And we just charge you the difference in the price between the drive units, and we'll go ahead and get you that upgrade. There are pros and cons, right? So Chase plugs in, whereas Home Original, you're going to get a battery, but we do have quite a few customers that end up upgrading over time. And Marla, yes, if you have Home Original, we can do the same thing. You can upgrade to Plus. And just the caveat there is like you get a new battery as well, because Home Original's battery is not compatible with Home Plus's battery. So we get you the Home Plus drive and the Home Plus battery. And then you basically send us the Home Original drive. Same thing with Chase. You'd send us the Chase drive. We send you the Home Original. Awesome. And that's super simple. That's just something that you would reach out to our support email and let us know you're interested in, and we can get you info. And that's good at any time. Like, you don't have to be within a warranty period. At any point in the future, if you'd like to upgrade, you just let us know. Another question was about I just saw it come in, about steaks. So we do get this one kind of frequently. We're based in Florida, so we've got sand. And so we need a long steak, but the strength and the stability of the steak isn't as important. And with those tent steaks that we basically have, the aluminum ones, we were trying to make sure that we had a lightweight steak that was easy to ship, that was also long enough for, a soft surface. I totally get it. If you live in an area that the ground is a little bit harder or more compact, that length of the steak is probably overkill, and the strength of the steak is probably underkill. So my best advice is to go to a local hardware store and find like a bit of a nail or an anchor that is going to maybe even be shorter, because you just don't need, if you've got really nice compact ground, you actually don't need to be driving that steak in as far to hold down the pulley. That's going to be your best bet, is to go to a hardware store, and for very, very inexpensive, you can actually find something that's going to work better for you. We used to think about, should we offer like a variety of steaks? And the same issue that with the batteries and offering different sizes is that when we purchase, we're doing like minimum order quantity sometimes with our suppliers. So we can't sell it to you for what the hardware store can. We'd have to charge you way more, and we don't think that that's necessarily a service to our customers. Another question is about the play session timer, the 90-second timer. We do not have an alternative to that 90-second timer. I will say this, on the app, you just close out and you run again. If you have the remote, there is not an override, but there's sort of like a don't pass go, right? Like a continue option. So if you have the remote, after 80 seconds, the remote vibrates and the light turns red to tell you that the end is coming. During that last 10 seconds, you can press the button on the remote until the light turns green, and you've just reset the timer. So it's like a timer reset. And we have actually considered doing something similar in the app. So one of our like longer term goals for app development is to have like a play session ending soon pop-up, where the issue is we wouldn't want to interfere with you running. So we have to figure out a really like finesse a way to show you that, maybe even a button that pops up next to the timer countdown in the app, which would allow you to reset the timer. Yeah, and you're saying that if it catches or snags, then really the 90 seconds is cut short. I totally agree with you. And for me too, I've got some pretty fit dogs. And so I'll usually play a couple of sessions back to back. And then, yeah, how long between sessions do you suggest? So I have a pointer mix and I have like a Dalmatian Aussie mix. They're both pretty fit, pretty athletic dogs. I will run about 3-ish sessions right back to back. So I will just keep resetting, and they will run and run and run. Now they're catching often. So during a session, my dog might catch, I don't know, 3-4 times. And if you have a dog that really likes to, after they catch, like possess the flag and shred it, that can be challenging. But I would suggest this: try letting them. So try letting them catch right away. Let them totally shred the flag until they're so bored with it that they've kind of given up. Tie a new one on. And the reason I say that is after you do that, maybe 3, 4 times, they're going to catch it and they're going to go, oh, well, that's it. And then they're going to want you to run it again. Um, Typically, not every dog. Some dogs are just so focused on the shredding that that is the biggest reward. But most dogs, if you let them catch it and catch it and catch it and catch it, you might go through a lot of flags, but they will learn that the fun is in the chase, and then they will catch and release because they want to keep chasing. And my offer to anybody who wants to go through that process is to write into support, let us know you're going to do that, and we will be very glad to send you a courtesy extra pack of flags, so that you have plenty of flags to go through that process with, because I know you can eat up a bunch of flags really quickly. I did that with my, I say puppy, but she's turning 2 this year. When she was first getting started on SwiftPaws at around a year old, she just would not want to give up the flag. Like, she was so excited about it. And I probably went through about 2 full rolls of flags in about a week. But now it's really cool because she chases and she catches, but then she lets it go and kind of waits for me to run it again. And then how long between runs. So I'll run, 2, 3 sessions back to back for my really athletic dogs. And then my dogs don't like to give it a break if they don't see it go away. So unfortunately for me, I have to take the whole thing down, bring it inside, put it away. And so I typically will actually only do a session once, maybe in the morning. And if I'm going to go back out, I won't go back out until much later in the day. So for me personally, it works out to be hours in between. But if you have dogs or multiple dogs, or you can leave it set up and your dogs are okay coming in away from it, like my one girl, she'll stand at the door, front door, and she'll like just be really excited because she knows it's out there. So not only do I have to clean it up, I have to let her go back out in the yard and see that it's gone. And then she'll come in and relax. So that's just me. But otherwise, I would recommend at least 20 minutes between. Start there. Start playing maybe a couple sessions, give them a 20-minute break, and then really see when they come back out. Like, do they kind of still seem a little fatigued? If so, then extend the break. And then otherwise, I also, and this is something that I'm trying to develop into more educational materials that we can share with everybody. But I've started to develop this idea of enrichment stacking. And what I mean by that is, the SwiftPaws chase activity. It's a very high intense, like it's touching a lot of those points of the predatory cycle. So like the dog gets to orient and lock in on the target and stalk and chase and catch and even shred to a certain point. And that's all like a good portion of that natural predatory cycle. But then after that, the part of that cycle that they're not completing with SwiftPaws is after they catch it, they would then be like shredding and dissecting, and then they would be consuming and chewing and then resting. And so for me, I really love, after I do a couple of chase sessions, I will go back inside and I'll do like a food-based enrichment. So a lick mat or a longer lasting chew, or even just like something that they're just going to chew on. They're normally ready to settle down with that. So I'll start with like, especially my younger one, because she won't settle down to chew right away. So I'll start with like a lick mat, or I'll start with like maybe scatter feeding, like taking some of her kibble and scattering it on the mat where I feed them, so she can kind of do that activity. Then I'll settle down with a chew. And you'll be so surprised. Like after you complete that predatory cycle, she passes out. She'll take like a couple hour long nap. It's fabulous. And you said that you get like snagged less with smaller flags. Yeah, you're totally right. And some dogs, this is really interesting. Doesn't matter the size of the dog. Some dogs actually key in more on the like ends of line where you tied the knot together than they do the flag. So we will have dogs that would rather chase the like knot and the little 2 ends of the line than they would even chase the flag. So you'd be surprised. I bet you can cut those flags down, and some dogs actually like that more. And if your grass is snagging it too, another suggestion might be you could try boosting those pulleys up. So like I've got a pulley here. If you just stick something under the pulley, I might use like a yoga block, or you could really put anything in there just to boost it off the ground just a little bit. That can really help float the line. It's sensitive, right? So same thing with tension. You want as little tension as is possible to run. and only as much as necessary. So with the line height off the grass, if it's too tall, you're worried about the dog running across it and, snagging a leg and then have to snap back into place once they're free. So you really want it to float right above the level of the grass, and not every terrain is going to be naturally there. Oh, Ella says that her cat is more intrigued with the knot. Yeah, exactly. So cats do, some cats really like to watch like bugs, and some dogs too. And also, a question here about the session log time stamped. You make a really good point. Another wish list thing for us for the app this year is that the log, so right now it logs your run sessions, and we really love that feature. And we are able to see like date, and what I'd love to do, like this is my dream, so I don't know how quickly we'll be able to work on this. The development budget is always tight, but one thing I've already expressed with my development team is I would love to have a calendar feature where you could actually go in and then see like just dates, really simple. And if you played on a given day, there would be like maybe a dot or something. So you could actually click into that day and then see your sessions on any given day. I think that would be just a really nice way to sort of track over time. You could look back at a previous month and say, oh, wow, I played almost every day that month. Or, oh, we went on vacation, so here's like a gap. Or even though we went on vacation, I can see that, maybe the sitter played with the dog. Would be really cool. I don't know if we'll get to that, but that has been a wish list item. But I do like the idea of a date stamp there too. All right. Well, we are getting a little bit towards the end of our time here. Howard, I see that you dropped off there just a moment. I did talk about sort of my wish list for doing date stamping and maybe even a calendar. So we have recorded this. We'll do a recap video. We will send that by email. So you're welcome to go and watch that recap. A couple of resources for everybody, and I'm going to put them into the group chat here. The first one is support.swiftpaws.com. That is our knowledge base. We have a wealth of articles there. You can search for almost any question you might have, and there will probably be an article there talking about it. And then the other one is the email, support@SwiftPaws. And if you have any questions at all following up here, you can email into support@SwiftPaws, or if you're interested in upgrading or anything like that. And I think that's about it. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And yeah, I hope to stay connected with you in the future. We have a Facebook community group. You can look for SwiftPaws. We'd love to see you in there. You can share videos. I'd love to see that video if you wanted to post that in there for us. And anywhere else that you like to be social, you can follow us across any of the social medias that you would like to. So, all right, guys, really love getting to meet some of our customers, and thank you for joining me today. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah. Do you know what I realized? I'm going to actually stop recording here. Yes. Is that, remember?